What's going on, YouTube family? It's your boy Donnie here, your very own esports trainer, and in today's video we're going to talk about controller players and what they should be aware of and what they should be doing. Alright, so when I talk about controller players or controller inputs or controller mains in general, I like to use an analogy of buying trainers or running trainers specifically. You got to make sure they fit, you're going to make sure it's comfortable, you got to make sure it's not going to irritate, you know, the limbs you're about to use, in this case your hands and your wrist and your elbow. And obviously you got to make sure that it's made and it provides you with the features that are going to excel you in the game that you're currently playing. Alright, so hand position and how it fits in your hand. So just like shoes, like I said in the beginning, you gotta make sure that it's comfortable and it's gonna fit your hands. Now, what I have here is just like a little example of a controller input that I use is the Xbox Elite 2. And I like this controller because, once again, it fits well within my hand. My fingers and my thumbs don't feel like they're overstretching or overreaching for the inputs. And I like back pedals. I've never really adapted to the claw. I find that very uncomfortable. Even though some individuals say that you just gotta get used to it. But me personally, I feel that claw position, in my opinion, from my experience, I feel like it strains their hands too much. You know, one finger clicking on these buttons here, and your middle finger will be the trigger finger, and then obviously that's your aim down sights finger, right? So this position here is producing claw position here. It's producing a lot of flexion within your hand, so you're constantly in flexion all the time. I feel like this will start not irritating, but like inflaming these muscles. There's going to be a lot of repetitive strain going on here. So that's the reason why I never adapted the claw position. Now, everyone's physiology is different, by the way, in case you guys are going to start commenting in my comment section saying like, oh, you know, I've been using it for years. That's great. Your physiology is able to tolerate that. I'm saying for mine, my hands can't take that. I gotta have back pedals so it feels more comfortable. Alright, so despite me talking about the claw position, even having back pedals or having a regular controller, you still got to watch out for the repetitive strain. So the repetitive strain injuries that you can sustain while being in the flex position all the time. Because regardless if you're doing claw or not, your hands, you can see my back pedals here, your hands here, your back fingers, your back fingers are still in flexion position. Just not as much as claw, but they're still in flexion position. And same with your thumbs. Your thumbs are always pushing left, right, but they're always in a slight flex position. So what happens is when these muscles start getting irritated, it means they begin to get really short and their movement, just too much strain starts occurring around the area because of the same movement over and over and over again. It's almost like you, let me take the feet for example. You do calf raises, right? It's almost like you doing calf raises for however long you stream for, or you do a competitive training session for. It's almost the equivalent of that. You do calf raises for that long, you're constantly repeating that same motion over and over again. Slowly that muscle begins to sort of get irritated and overused, and before you know it, you're gonna start getting little signs here and there of DOMs, slight pain around the area. So just because you're gonna have back pedals and just because you have a normal controller and not adapting the claw position does not mean you can get away from those little issues as well. So essentially what happens is that these muscles here, your thumb and your finger muscles here, begin to tighten up. So they get overused, they get used to being in flexion, your body adapts to that position, so these muscles here shorten up, and what happens is this whole area here starts to get limited range of motion. So your wrists go in the opposite way. So you are used to being in this position, the wrist going the opposite way now, we'll start feeling a lot of tension around here because they have been in a longer state being inflexed. and suddenly you're forcing them to open up. So all this is just going to be full of tension. However, in order to get rid of that tension, you got to make sure you are, on a regular basis, you are stretching that area. So if you're in flexion, extend those hands, expand those muscles, lengthen those muscles. You want to do this because building up all this tension, you're gonna get a lot less responsive fingers simply because of all the irritation that's going on, all the tension that's been built up. And a relaxed muscle will always function and move and respond a lot quicker than a muscle that's under stress. So bear that in mind. Do some stretching, stretch the opposite way. Look at the angles, look at what your fingers are doing. And then once you know the positions, once you realize what position your fingers are, stretch them the opposite way. So that way everything gets expanded, everything gets released, and all that tension goes. Now let me just give you a little example of controller size. So like I said from the beginning, this controller included my Razer tournament. Let me just drag that out quickly. Both of these controllers here are of similar size, and both of them allow me to reach the pedals, the analog sticks, and the back pedals pretty comfortably. Lots of controllers from different companies come in different sizes and shapes. So just like trying a shoe, see what works best for you. I would advise just going to a retail if you can, because I know some of them are only sold online. But if you can, find out the size and see if your fingers agree with it. Remember, you don't want to adapt to a controller that's too big or the inputs are too far wide and too open at the expense of your hands. Because at the end of the day, what's more important? The look of the controller or the branding of the controller or your hands? So just to quickly summarize this video, these are the 3 main points that I made in this video. So the first point is stretching and mobilizing your hands. Like I said, a lot of tension is going to be built up within all the repetitive movements you're going to be doing with your hands on a controller. So just make sure you are stretching and mobilizing the hands. I will be doing a follow-up video after this that will show you a little routine that I personally use to mobilize and stretch the hands, expand and release all that tension. So that way you're going to have nice, mobilized, healthy hands that will allow you to game for however long you want to. The second point I want to make in this video is just so you gamers and streamers have some awareness and are educated in the positions. And I'm not just talking just from the hands as well. I want you to apply this as well to the positions you have in, like on the chair, where your neck is, where your shoulders are, etc. But we'll start with just the hands. Be aware of how much flexion you are producing with the controller you're currently using. Is it comfortable? Is it irritating after a while? See all these signs that your body will give if it's not quite happy with the way your fingers and thumbs are positioned within the controller. If they're not happy, do not force yourself to continue using a controller that may make your hands worse. Save up some money, win some tournaments, I don't know, streaming, get some subs or something, and try and invest into a new controller. It's just not worth the pain that it can cause you in the future. And finally, the last point is controller size. So making sure before you purchase, if you can help it, to finding out how it fits in your hand, whether all the inputs are pretty comfortable around your hands and your fingers, you're able to reach all the inputs that you wish to use, and just overall comfort. It should initially feel pretty natural and comfortable at first. Like, it shouldn't feel like you're straining your fingers to reach for certain buttons. So if you can help it, get a controller in which you can actually try out the size first, just like a shoe. Anyway guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys found it informative in some sort of way. Like I said before, I will do a follow-up video of routines and mobilization routines and stretches that you can use to open up your wrist, elbow and your hands. So that way you got nice healthy hands, and bulletproof them from any sort of sustainable injuries that you can get while gaming. I will do more separate videos and expand on this a lot more, so I'll be talking a lot more about repetitive strain injuries, postural positions that you can that you have in your chair. I will be doing an overview as well of mouse and keyboard players as well, and just overall gaming and health. Anyway, guys, once again, I hope you liked the video. Click like if you like it. Sub if you want to see some more videos in the near future, and stay healthy, gamers.